Player props here on PrizePicks for Monday, January 30th. Before I get started, there's a link in the description below to sign up for PrizePicks, or you can use promo code TUFF to sign up. PrizePicks will match 100% of your first deposit. There is a Discord link in the description where the main server is completely free, as well as Patreon link in the description where I do post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks for each given sport that I do play. I do need to mention I'm not a gambling expert. This is not financial advice. This is simply just the plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. Take the information I give you, combine it with the information you've gathered, and then make your decisions based on that. But let's get into it, you guys. Two props that I do like. Both of these props are going to be fantasy scores here. Fantasy scores, as far as just in comparison to like PRA, I always like fantasy score if there is not too much of a discrepancy between PRA and fantasy score. But there's two props that I do like. Both fantasy score plays. Again, fantasy score plays are on PrizePicks and underdog. Like if you're playing on like a traditional sports book, they're not gonna have fantasy score. Like FanDuel doesn't have fantasy score, DraftKings doesn't have fantasy score. But on PrizePicks, fantasy score plays super fun in my opinion. Again, link in the description below to sign up for PrizePicks. Let's get into it. First one is going to be Anthony Edwards over his 45.5. Now, if you're in the Patreon, I love Anthony Edwards' fantasy score, and it's been extremely profitable for us. Over in 4 of his last 5, his only miss here was finished with 44.9 fantasy. He's been playing extremely well. Now, if you're in Patreon, again, I've talked about numerous times in there how Anthony Edwards loves to play without Rudy Gobert. I mean, he's questionable for this game, Gobert is, but I mean, he's been questionable the last 4 games, and he's ended up playing here. But I love this spot for Anthony Edwards back facing Sacramento. This is a home and home game here for each of these teams. They just faced each other 2 days ago. This is a home game here for Minnesota, 237.5 over under, and the spread is only 1.5. So we're looking at Anthony Edwards hopefully playing his full dose of minutes here, 36 plus minutes. In my opinion, for Anthony Edwards, seems very reasonable. I mean, I think without question he plays 36 minutes in this game. But Anthony Edwards coming off a game here against Sacramento. He just played Sacramento. He had 58 fantasy. He had 34, 10, and 6 in 38 minutes. Had 6 turnovers too, and still had 58 fantasy. 14 for 21 from the field, 66.7% from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. Had 2 steals and a block here. I'm going back to him here. I mean, 58 fantasy. All we need here tonight is 45.5 at home for Anthony Edwards. Both these teams, if we take a look at, let's just reset these filters real quick. Both these teams, top 10 teams in pace. Minnesota is 6th in pace. Sacramento is 7th in pace. So two top 10 teams in pace here. If we take a look at Anthony Edwards, over the last 5 games is averaging 1.43 fantasy points per minute. 1.43 fantasy points per minute, which of all the players playing tonight is the 6th highest fantasy points per minute of any player playing tonight, like I said. So 1.43, let's just say conservatively Anthony Edwards plays around 36 minutes tonight. That will put him around conservatively, like I said, around 51 fantasy points. With a game with a nice over-under, 2 top 10 teams in pace here. I love this play even more if Gobert doesn't play. I think if Gobert doesn't play, this is a great spot for Anthony Edwards. If we take a look at just how the Kings are kind of doing here against shooting guards, I mean, he just played. Anthony Edwards just played Sac. We can see here fantasy points to the shooting guard position. Sac somewhat in the middle here, 42.93 fantasy points per minute to the shooting guard position. Rebounds, Sac is giving up the 4th most rebounds over the last 7 games to the shooting guard position. But overall, based on pace, based on Anthony Edwards' usage here, when you watch or follow the Timberwolves play, it's super fun if you have Anthony Edwards' fantasy score, in my opinion. Super fun to watch the game. I'm targeting this game specifically just in general on overs. I think it should be a super fun, exciting game to watch and follow here. Like I said, just 2 days ago, Anthony Edwards had 58. In this game overall, I mean, 117 to 110 on the road for Sac. I think at home for Edwards here. I like his over at 45.5. The second one is going to be just another fantasy score here. We're going to go Shai. We're going to go straight to him. Shai over 51.5. Now, 51.5 is a lot. Let's be real, it's a lot. But he's over on this in 4 of his last 5 games here. Had 62 in a tough matchup against Cleveland at home. But I like this play for a few reasons. One, if we take a look at fantasy points per minute, Shai Gilgeous, 2 spots here higher than Anthony Edwards, 1.54 fantasy points per minute over his last 5 games. 1.54 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, this game here is in OKC, right? 242 over under. And Golden State's actually 5-point favorites, but 242 over under. Highest over under on the slate. That's a massive over under here. So if we take a look at a few different things here, if we go to pace, Golden State is number 1, OKC is number 3. So 2 top 3 teams in pace, which obviously explains the high over under here. A ton of possessions, 2 of the top 3 teams in pace. All right. The Golden State Warriors against the point guard position over the last 30 days, giving up the 5th what is this? 6th most fantasy points to the point guard position. If we break this down to last 15, Golden State, if we take a look here at points, Golden State down here at 23.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game to the point guard position, which is good for 4th in the NBA. And then if we take a look here over the course of the entire season, Golden State here giving up to the point guard position the 4th most fantasy points to the point guard position. Oh, sorry, this is shooting guard. Wow. The 5th most fantasy points to the point guard position, Golden State Warriors. But also no Lou Dort. Okay, so take a look at this. So Shai Gilgeous usage, right? This is with no players off the court. Just usage at home, 32.6% usage, averaging 51.9 fantasy points per game, 1.4 per minute at home this season. Now, if we take Lou Dort off the court here, which again, Lou Dort is out, that jumps up to 40.5. So what is that? Difference? 10.8% usage bump, 14.8% fantasy point jump per 36 minutes, 0.4 fantasy points per minute jump per 36 as well. And he's averaging 62.8 fantasy points per minute, per 36. 62.8. All we need here tonight is 51.5. Again, like I said, a massive over-under here at 242 here for Shai Gilgeous. Obviously does play a little bit better at home in my opinion. Shooting percentages goes up at home across the board here. More assists go up, blocks go up, steals are the same. But overall, shooting a lot better. I think teams overall shoot better at home, so that should help for Shai Gilgeous with his assists, things like that here. Love this play here for Shai. I just don't really think there's any reason why he shouldn't go over this in a massive over-under. They're going to need him. And also take a look at this. Warriors defense at home on the road is just horrendous, right? If we sort this, teams on the road get stats, right? Golden State, the 3rd worst defensive rating on the road. We know this. Golden State plays 0 defense on the road. Shai Gilgeous here at home, smash spot for him. I'm riding with the wagon here at 51.5 fantasy over on him. Anthony Edwards over 45.5. Shai Gilgeous over 51.5. Two huge fantasy score lines here, but again, super fun to follow, and I'm confident in both of these. So let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about these plays. Again, you don't need to tail these. You don't need to use both of them. You can use one that you like, one that you don't like. You know, like I said, do your own research, you guys. No one is clicking that submit button on your parlays but yourself. Let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about these two. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.